Welcome to Coffee Meets Cloud, where three women in tech come together to share real stories about leadership, life, and everything in between. Join our hosts, Karami McCollum.
Oh, I love the voice note feature, y'all.
Cassandra Parker.
I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
And Rachel Rogers.
We have the power to change it.
Your go-to source for candid conversations and unfiltered insights. So, grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and join the chaos.
Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Meets Cloud. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Tuesday, maybe for you guys, Friday here, coming to you live from the lake. But I was just sitting here thinking, this looks like a bird watching video on my end. Like, you know,
it kind of does.
Like something about the quality of this and sitting out here, I feel like it's a digital camera waiting for a bird to arrive.
I did see the bird thing. There's this new store, Sierra. They've got bird flashcards now so that you can quiz yourself on your bird knowledge. Yeah. Right next to the binoculars.
Who's going to do that?
I have so many jokes
I guess there are
make,
people. Yeah.
But my wife actually loves that kind of thing, so let me not insult her. Anyway.
I'm not about it.
Well, guess what? Today's a guest episode.
Oh, Yay!
All right. So our guest today is someone who's spent her career at the intersection of enterprise technology and human storytelling. Lillie Beiting is a #1 Amazon bestselling author, Salesforce solution engineer, and an enterprise architect with roughly 15 years in the field. She cut her teeth as a digital marketer and architect at Fortune 500 companies like General Motors, Stanley Black & Decker, and Anthem, where she went on to earn recognition as a Salesforce trailblazer and a spot on Salesforce's 30 Marketers to Watch. She's a Dreamforce keynote speaker, a regular speaker at Salesforce Dreaming events, co-author of Mastering Salesforce Experience Cloud, and has even served as a United Nations delegate on data ethics and contributed to the IEEE's first AI ethics certification program. These days, she works as an independent Salesforce and enterprise architect, takes on ghostwriting projects, and co-builds a storytelling and mentorship initiative tackling one of tech's hardest problems, the fact that half of all women leave the industry by age 35. Please join me in welcoming Lillie Beiting.
Woo!
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
That's a beautiful intro.
No, you did a great job. Thank you. I feel so honored. I was like, oh, is that me? Okay.
That is you.
I'm so fancy.
It's so great to hear it out loud.
It's really nice. Thank you. You did a great job. Thank you for having me.
I've missed you.
I missed you too.
I was gonna say we haven't seen your face in a long time.
Well, we ran into each other at the World Tour earlier this year.
Yes,
I think that was the last time we bumped into each other in the wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, we all had a brief collective stunt of working together. Some of us have worked together a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, we are all friends, and that is the power of community. So
that's right.
Welcome. All right, Lillie, we like to start with the really hard questions up front.
Uh-oh.
This is Coffee Meets Cloud. So we do need to know, what is your caffeine of choice?
Ooh, probably a cappuccino, but we are in Atlanta and it is summertime, so I have a massive iced coffee keeping me going today. So it is a coffee beverage. I would say I tend to stay in the coffee family. I dabble with tea from time to time. I've been known to like an energy drink. I know Cassandra's a Celsius girl. I'm more of a Bang girl myself, but typically coffee is the go-to for me.
I am always super impressed by people that can wake up and drink an energy drink. I just feel like,
why? It's so easy. It's the best.
I was gonna say. I feel like it would grow hair on my chest or something if I woke up and drank an energy drink first thing.
I call it my fridge cigarette. Like first thing in the morning. It's so good.
I also wanted to say, when it comes to the coffee, because I've pretty much turned into always iced coffee because it's just so easy. But y'all know we've become kind of a coffee snob making our espressos at home for our iced coffee.
So
and here we are at this lake house, and I don't have my espresso machine. I'm slumming it with regular hot coffee out of a coffee maker, and I'm devastated.
That sounds
all right.
terrible.
Here's the real question: did you bring Folgers? We going community coffee? Like how far down the scale did you go?
I did buy pre-ground Starbucks coffee, but I was gonna bring like a French press, but I've not had luck with the French press either. I tried to make a few cups with that thing before leaving the house, and it was even worse. So,
I leave my coffee making to the professionals in those cases, and I just
well, if
go
we weren't
buy it.
so out in the sticks, I would.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
Maybe I should have bought refrigerated iced coffee.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Dang,
Yeah.
mistakes were made. Anyway,
Well, there's
continue
a
on.
grocery store somewhere. All
You
right.
got time to make a drip coffee too. You could do cold drip or cold brew,
There you go.
which will be a little less harsh than the standard communal.
Yeah, I mean, I
almond
feel
drip.
like I can stand my spoon up in this. It's so like,
Yuck.
I don't know what's going on here.
No.
I'll take
I was
it. I
gonna
just
say-
need something.
All right.
I think that you can mash Lily's favorite caffeinated beverage with her in her evenings, espresso martinis.
Yes,
Ooh,
yes.
I am
It's
on
one of Lily's
vacation.
favorite things.
It's true. I call it the white girl speedball. You have an upper and a downer
Yes.
all in one beverage together. They're a lot of fun. As I've gotten older, though, I have to be careful about my caffeine intake at certain times of the day because if I have it afternoon, I'm just intolerable and can't sleep. So I gotta
Yeah.
cut my caffeine off around noon or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta
so,
sleep.
so they're breakthey're breakfast drinks now.
That's right.
They
It's
are.
like a
They're brunch
mimosa.
drinks. Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
They
they're
really
definitely-
are.
They're
The
definitely
mimosa
brunch drinks.
alternative.
Or
Yeah.
if I know I got a long night ahead of me, I'll get an espresso martini to wake me up and help me
Again,
party, you know?
though, something about that beverage in the morning, I'm like, now I'm imagining I immediately sound like a smoker after I take a sip of that in the morning.
Yeah, that's the
real
best part.
deep. I'm like suddenly a 55-year-old woman who has
Chain
smoked a pack a
smoker.
day for
It's a spiritual Virginia Slim. That's the feature, not a bug.
All right. Well, the next hard question, Lily. What is your favorite comfort food? Like if you could only eat one thing, what would you pick?
Ooh, probably like chicken ramen noodles. Like that, I don't know.
Ah.
Something about it takes me back to college and takes me back to being really little. And if I'm not feeling well, if my stomach is turning, or if I'm just having a tough time eating, like I can usually get down crappy 30-cent chicken ramen noodles.
Shout out.
It's gotta
Mhm.
be chicken because
Mhm.
all
Yes,
the
specifically
other
chicken.
flavors are weird, but chicken
are.
is superior.
If you mix a bunch of stuff in with the other flavors, like if you're gonna do the proper like hot pot ramen with like eggs and leeks and stuff, the
Mhm.
other flavors are okay. But like I like usually if I'm eating that, I'm sick, right? I don't got time to
Exactly.
be hard boiling eggs or sauteing stuff. So when it's that, it's just the chicken. I strain the fluid too and put the powder directly on it. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Nice.
Ah, yes.
That was a good one. Wait, I don't think
is
we've had
yeah.
many good ones come through.
I was just thinking, like,
That's
I'm
super.
really proud of that answer because,
Yeah.
like, it back to the basics, man.
You know, there's just something about it. Like you can't do it every day because it's pretty much glue. Like it's terrible for you. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
there's just something. It takes you back to college. It takes you back to being younger. Like I actually like sometimes taking the dry noodles and breaking them up and putting them on salad. Like I don't know if you've ever done that
Yeah.
before. They kind of work like a
Oh,
crouton.
yes.
And you could take the powder and mix it with like a little bit of oil and vinegar and use it as a dressing. So look, I was broke in college. Okay, we had to
Hey,
be very
listen, I had
creative.
some come up.
Hey.
I had some come up years, and I figured out a lot of ways to doctor up those noodles. And
My
Mhm.
aunt makes a killer Asian coleslaw with those noodles. It's
Ooh.
fantastic. It's got
Ooh.
almonds in it. I mean, it's really good.
Okay.
See, they're
Send me
multi-purpose.
that
food.
recipe later. That
I
sounds
will.
intriguing. I just
will.
got
It's
back
really
from
good.
eating too much junk food and drinking too much French wine. So I'm back on a diet, on a salad diet. So like, you let me know if we can undo that diet entirely by putting ramen noodles in there.
right.
Have you guys tried the Mama Foku noodles that are like
No.
fancy ramen noodles? So like you can get, I think it's a scallion version of it. They have them at a few stores, but it's just like a ramen noodle packet. It takes about the same time as ramen noodles. They're a little bit more expensive, but they've got spicy chili oil ones. They've got several different kinds. They're actually pretty good. When you don't want
Kinley is
just
a
ramen
ramen
noodles.
noodle connoisseur. She makes
Mhm.
a lot of ramen.
Ah.
Does she have one of those ramen noodle bowls
that
Mhm.
cooks it.
that cooks it? Oh yeah, I
that's
see
next
them
level.
everywhere. Yes.
Mm. She likes to put Tony Sacheries in her ramen
Well,
noodles
because she's
she's got
actually part
ranks.
Cajun, so
Yes.
Mhm.
there's
She's
that.
smart.
yeah. Well, you know, she has her moments. But speaking of moments, we're going to pivot to Lily. You've got a new project out
I do.
called 50 by 35. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the project?
Yes, absolutely. So a former colleague of mine, Evelyn McGuire, absolutely wonderful, another person who's pretty big in this space. I don't know that y'all have met her or met them rather. This has been a couple jobs ago when we worked together. And Evelyn actually reached out to me, also an author who had published with PAC, and mentioned, like, hey, I found this article that says that 50% of women leave tech by the time they're 35. And I was like, yeah, I see it. Like, I get it. I completely understand it. I think as soon as you heard that statistic, all three of you were like, yeah, that makes sense. Right.
Yep.
And the fact that our initial reaction to that was, oh, yeah, that makes sense, is so messed up. Like, that's such a problem. I myself am 35. I'll be 36 later this year. And the amount of times I've, been tempted to leave, or I've been so frustrated, or I've had things happen to me has been just so significant. So we were talking about what we could do, and we're like, well, we feel like one of the things that kind of happens in tech, especially as you climb higher in tech as a woman or someone who's of a marginalized gender, is that, like, you don't really have a lot of people to talk to, and you're not really sure what's normal, and you don't really know what's common. And our thought process was essentially, well, why don't we just create a space where we can share these stories, right? Both of us are writers. We kind of have an open call right now to writers. So if you'd like to come write, the idea is just to have people, women specifically in tech, share their stories. And it can be about anything, right? Mine was more, the first episode that I did was kind of my broad career and how I got to the place I'm at and why I, ended up going private. But there's so much more than just that. I know I myself am not a mother. All of you are mothers. That's a huge factor in people's careers. I can also see why that'd be a huge factor in people leaving, right? So we just sort of wanted to open the floor to make a dialogue about what women in tech go through and what their stories are. So we figured we would open that to the world. So yes.
That's cool.
Open call to you if you'd like to write for us, and anybody else who's listening, we're happy to share your stories. But the idea is just to kind of keep it purely narrative. It doesn't have to be technical instruction. It doesn't have to be overly specific. It's just sharing women's stories.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a struggle story.
No,
just
not at all.
What your experience in tech has been.
Yep, completely.
All right.
And again, it can be good stuff. It can be bad stuff. I am really looking forward to hearing some mothers come and talk. Again, neither Evelyn nor I are mothers, so we're not qualified to speak in that arena, but both of us are disabled. We've gone through some health stuff. So it's just really trying to hear what the female experience is like and creating more of an open community so that, people don't feel so alone. Again, I know all of you are leaders and have moved up into people management. In your respective companies, there are more female managers in tech, but there really aren't
at large. At large, that's very uncommon.
Very uncommon.
Which I think is easy to forget when you've spent a decent amount of time at an organization. You start to slowly forget what it's like at the other organizations. So when you have it good, it's like we were talking about this when we were talking about sexism in the workplace. And I'm like, listen, guys, a lot of us work at some really great places, and that's great. But these problems do still exist. So don't assume that your experience is everybody's experience.
Well, and we've all came from other places where we have had those issues. I mean, I've been in several places where I've experienced that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's great to hear people's stories, because then you don't feel as alone, right? You don't feel like, oh, well, it's just me. Yeah. I'm the only one that struggles with it. It's like, nope. So it's a lot of women.
What's the medium for these stories? Is it going to be digital? Is it going to be a podcast? Is it going to be videos? Did you say that? And I spaced.
Oh, right now it's writing. We may move on to podcasts and other mediums, but for now it's just writing. So you can kind of do an async and send it to us. We publish every Sunday. So ideally, if you can get your entry to me by a Friday. Also, there's no limits. Our two requirements are, please don't mention companies by name, and keep your timelines kind of ambiguous. We don't want to get sued. But other than that, it's 100%. Kind of an open forum.
Smart.
And you can be anonymous if you'd like to. So we only request you verify who you are to us, but we will not publish your name if you would prefer to write anonymously.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
I think
it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, that space is super nice. I just remember when I started my career, there was nobody to look to.
Yeah.
The role models I had in my career that were female leaders at the very beginning were very harsh. I think were harsher to women than they were to any man.
Sure.
And when men would come in the room, it was a completely different tone. I was actually telling this to my dad the other day about a woman that I used to work with. And I said, she was just the most horrible person ever. She would make you cry when it was just women on women having a conversation. She would intentionally go out of her way to kind of toughen you up so that you could survive in a man's world. And my dad was like, I never had that experience with her. I was like, I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder why.
You're a man.
Yeah, she was so awful. But there's a lot of women out there like that.
There are.
And I've gotten the impression that I feel like I'm sure it's because of each female's own experience in coming up in tech or in the workforce, but it seems like there's more females than not who just don't feel comfortable being authentic. Like they're afraid. Like,
Sure.
I think a lot of women have developed this idea that they have to show up a certain way to remain competitive, to be taken seriously, to fit in, to grow. And wherever that narrative came from, then the people around them feel the effects of that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think they don't know who to trust in a
Totally.
workforce because of whatever they've gone through and whatever
Yeah.
organizations they've put. I say they because I'm I'm authentic to a fault. So, but they put on like an armor, and then you don't even know the real them. Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think of the time period in which people came up through the workforce.
Totally.
So the reality is our generation is the generation trying to change it.
Mm-hmm.
The generation before us, it wasn't inclusive. It wasn't, you could be, authenticity was not a thing. You were this way or that way, and that was it. I remember my first job, you still required to wear tights and a skirt.
Yeah.
Like, you think about how far we've come, right? It's fantastic, but there's still work to do.
Totally.
Well, shout out to the women in that generation who are trying to, like, it would be very easy if you were at that point in your career to just kind of roll your eyes and move on. Like, it is the status quo. I'm on my way out. Let them deal with it. But I know I'm thinking of some very specific people in my mind right now who clearly don't like the fact that is, and they are trying to do their part to make a difference for the our generation and the one after. And that's what it's going to, that's what it's going to take to give us the space to make more of a difference, because that generation is still in the workforce. We have to have the ability to do those things and still be taken seriously, or it's going to take a lot longer. So
I think the other issue, especially with male dominated fields, right? So like tech is a perfect example of this, but even in other fields like law, medicine, or just industries that are very male dominated, sometimes when you see that older generation of women who are being really tough on you, they're not even theoretically being mean. They're doing it because they think they're helping you, right? And the world in which they grew up is just, it is changing, but in some ways it's still very present and still there. Like I've heard so many stories from my time in automotive. My grandpa was a career engineer for Ford. I worked in automotive for a while. I still have some clients that are in the automotive space. And some of the things you would hear, like I remember my grandpa telling me a story about, it was when he was working at Ford. He barely worked anywhere else, let's be real. But they had a meeting for all the field managers. So American automotive companies are massive, and there's usually an entire staff that just work the field, which is to say that they go to the dealerships themselves. So they were all in this meeting about dress code, and they were talking through what the men had to wear. So it's like, no, you can't show up in golf shirts at this particular point. Now you can, but you have to wear a suit, you have to wear a tie, you have to wear a waistcoat. And at one point, a woman raised her hand and she said, well, what are the women supposed to wear? You didn't cover that. And this guy on this stage in front of everybody is like aprons and moved on with female staff there. Now, to be fair, this was like, I think in like the late 70s, early 80s, this was a while ago.
But still,
one woman working in that field, like you have to be so tough. You have to be kind of like, you have to sort of have that front up. So I understand. I think when I see women from older generations or from that kind of time period imparting that, but I think it's also our duty as women who are moving up, who are gaining more power, who are gaining more authority to help change that. And I'm definitely seeing the tide start to turn, but there's for sure still vestiges of things like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The responsibility of a generation to move the needle for the next generation cannot ever be overlooked. And that's in anything, right?
Yep.
But especially when it comes to that ability to bring people up. And it's your responsibility as a leader to reach back. You always need to reach back and make sure that you're helping someone in any situation, whether it's a person with a disability, whether it's a gender issue, no matter what, pick a person up. It will help lift your soul, and it will also help uplift and make the difference. One small thing could be the thing that makes the whole thing shake loose.
Totally. Not to be super woo-woo, but as time's gone on, I am a believer in karma. I do believe the good energy you put into the world and that you put into people comes back. And I think, now I work privately, but I had been in management for quite some time. And one of the nice things about being in management is, many years later, some of the people you managed, assuming you're a good manager, right?
Yeah.
That is the assumption.
That's the caveat.
That's the key.
it's so nice to hear them come back and see what their careers are now, and to see who they've become and to see the things they've learned. And I think especially in our world with Salesforce and the funny niche kind of nuanced little world that it is, like seeing people grow their careers and grow their competencies and flourish is actually like it feels good when that happens.
It does.
My baby's growing up. Like it's satisfying. So I think, obviously you have to keep professionalism in mind. You have to keep the job that you're doing in mind. But I think if you can foster a mentality of mentorship and care, and especially making sure that some of your more marginalized folks are getting the extra attention and support that they need, I do believe that it comes back to you. And even if it's only you get a LinkedIn message, 5 years later, and they're just telling you what they're up to.
Carrie, this lake life, babe. I mean,
Are you
birds
are
are
hearing
going
these? I'm
nuts.
so sorry. I meant to ask you guys at the beginning. Listen, this little house we're in is so small. There's nowhere I could go in there where my kids were not gonna. That would have been worse. You would have heard screaming because they also aren't allowed to be on their devices right now because we're at the lake, duh. And so yeah, it's madness in there. So the birds are much more peaceful than the inside.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, taking my blood pressure down. Yeah.
Welcome to Nature Hour on Coffee Meets Cloud.
We're gonna take turns. Everyone's gonna go record an episode in your backyard, just to give us a little bit of difference.
Well, I got all the World Cup people in my backyard right now.
That's right.
Police barricades are showing up down here in downtown Atlanta. So the motorcades are not here yet. I have a feeling they'll be coming this weekend because I think the first game is sometime. I don't know anything about sports. It's sometime this weekend, but they've already started putting like the portable cameras up, and there's extra cops around here. So I suspect some football teams are going to be staying in the hotels in Buckhead.
Some famous footballers will be around.
Yes, there were a couple of them that came last year for like friendly matches, and it was actually really cute because I saw the motorcades come and they block the hotels off, but a bunch of little kids who come to see their favorite football players play will come stand outside and like wait for them. So there's always like a little line of children with like their little.
That's sweet.
It's really cute. Like there's other dignitaries that come and it's super annoying when they do because they shut down the entire road and like the Secret Service like Checkpoint Charlie's you to come in and come out. But like I'm like, okay, the babies who want their footballers to sign their programs are allowed in my neighborhood anytime.
Oh, speaking of that, y'all saw the big uproar about the basketball finals and certain
Did I? No,
figures.
I sure
you didn't see about the president coming to the game?
The president came to one, and then Taylor Swift came to the next one. So it depends on
hate basketball.
I don't
basketball is the dumbest sport.
Wow,
you're going to offend a very big portion of our audience.
My oldest son played basketball. For Cassandra, and I'm a huge sports person. Anybody that knows me, I love sports. Yay, sports, all the sports. I am
except basketball.
Except basketball. I played tennis. Like everyone says tennis is boring. I just don't get it. Basketball, I'm like, okay. This is dull.
Well, to catch you up, Cassandra, at one of the final games, the president came. This is not a political commentary. This is just he came to watch it because he's from New York and
he's been to games in the past.
Correct.
Okay.
But because he was there, they had to shut down a lot of bars and businesses in the surrounding area. Getting through security into the game was a much lengthier and cumbersome process and there were people who had took out second mortgages on their homes to afford tickets to these things. And so the city, I think, was just, and I don't know, I'm sure this wasn't everybody, but a lot of people were just frustrated that it caused such a disruption because they couldn't have the viewing parties that they normally do for that game.
Right.
Businesses lost business because they normally host a lot of people who come and hang out and watch the game. And
Makes
then
sense.
the people who were there were frustrated with, getting in, but
Yeah, anytime dignitaries come to the Intercontinental, which they do quite a bit here in Atlanta, it depends on the level of dignitary. So like during the election, Trump came, Kamala came, Biden came, and every single time they would just shut down this chunk of Peachtree. They would shut down my neighborhood. There was Secret Service everywhere. It'd be shut down for like 2 or 3 days. So like usually like 2 days before and like a day after, they got it back to normal. 400 was shut down, which is right in my backyard too. And it was just like, going anywhere was a nightmare. So yes, I'm happy to have the sports boys here with their adorable child fans because they are way less of a disruption than all that.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to shut down all the roads.
Oh, nightmare.
Well, and it should be a lot better. And the aftermath of both of the latest New York games ended up in riots in both aftermaths. Yes. The one was because they lost, and then the other was because they won. So who knows what that's about, but
I've never understood that. Like, I can understand more of like you rioted because you lost, but when you win, you start tearing your own stuff up. What is wrong with you?
But okay, but what
I think it's just mob mentality. I think
I was married to a Phillies fan. That's just what they do.
Something triggers, and then they all jump on the bandwagon.
But I think it's different too. Like when you think of what was it, the Tennessee game where they took down the goalpost because they won and then threw it in the river. Like they marched it down the streets in Tennessee as a complete mob because they won. They were so excited. Like that, I can understand that a little bit better than like
they
just
tore up one thing.
Why are you gonna go pollute the river? This isn't the river's doing.
Right. Well, imagine being the person who had to go fish it out of the river. Whose idea
was this? I think somebody told me who was like, "Hey, y'all, let's take this thing down to the river." What?
Like, here we go. Now she's offending the Tennessee fans. Good Lord, Cassandra.
One of my good friend is a Tennessee fan. I'm a huge Georgia fan. Everybody knows this about me. Equal opportunity.
I think somebody told me, I either read it or somebody told me that like they knew going into it that if they won, that is exactly what was going to happen. Like they were prepared to pay the fine and everything. So
I'm gonna call my friend Cliff, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, question. What was the mentality behind that? Do you know?" And then he's going to tell me, and I'm going to come back and report back and say, this is why they did it. I'll let you know.
Speaking of reporting back, I know we got to get into Lily's next thing. The last episode has gotten so much feedback. So Lily, on the last episode, I know you said you're not a parent, but I think everybody has an opinion about this. We were talking about technology in schools.
Okay. Ooh, I got great opinions about this. Oh, I'm really
okay, good. Well, we were just talking about, there was a Senate hearing back in January, and a doctor got up and testified about how there's a negative impact that we're seeing in this latest generation and his opinions on where that's coming from. Anyway, there was a clip of Rachel from the episode frustrated that they no longer teach cursive in schools.
Yeah.
And it's just auto, like the clips get kind of auto generated, and Cassandra just picks the ones that she wants to post. Thinking nothing of it, she posts it, and boy howdy,
we touched a nerve.
Yeah, I got some interesting comments.
Yeah, you gotta get these screens out of schools, man. It is bad. It is really bad. So my sister, Maggie, who I think Rachel's met, I don't think the other ones have met. So she's a quantitative psychometrician, which is a lot of words to say that she does math psychology more or less, but she has an educational emphasis. So one of the things that she specializes in is like test psychology, and the dependency that these kids have had on screens is not doing favors for their brains. In fact, horrible. What's happening though is actually schools in Scandinavia are starting to take electronics out of the classroom, which I think is absolutely brilliant, and getting kids back to using paper and pen, using kind of smaller methods to build upon computation. I think one of the nice things about UX is designed most of the time. Sometimes it's terrible, let's be real, but most of the time UX is designed to be pretty user-friendly at this particular point. So the MO is more, hey, we don't really introduce children to technology except in kind of like the context of a media center, kind of like they did when we were growing up a little bit. And really when they start to get older for research methods, right? Because kids are having, number one, their attention spans are shot. It's gone, right? There's so much instant gratification on the nightmare rectangle. People can't pay attention for more than 3 seconds. They have a hard time doing research, right? Because there's so much information everywhere. It's difficult to discern what's real. It's difficult to have authority control or check sources and make sure you're being told something legitimate. And then on top of it, like, the fight to learn is kind of dying in a way because I mean, think about reading growing up. Sometimes the first or second chapter is not that great. You kind of have to work for like the book to get good. That attention span doesn't exist anymore unless of course you've got kids who are raised without the heavy emphasis on it. So I'm a big fan of getting it out of schools. I'm very, very worried about this upcoming generation and their ability to succeed because it seems like the attention span is gone. And also like, you got to struggle a little bit to learn, right? Like,
that's exactly what we were talking about.
And the struggle is gone. Like, you have to have that struggle to grow and to learn. And also, like, when I think about research, I mean, all of our jobs are very research heavy, right? How many times have you been thrown something and you're like,
I don't know, but I'll figure it out.
Figure out how that works.
I will put together A and B to get there.
Well, and as you do this, one of the things you discover is often research is like honing your own question, right? It's like actually figuring out the real thing that you're looking for, not what you have started to look for. And that takes some struggle, that takes some patience, that takes attention span. And like, I just have so much concern about kids growing up into this world where they just kind of don't have those fundamental.
I think we all have a different level
skills.
of discernment. Like we have a different level of discernment because of our background and what it was like when we were coming up. Now, the number of times I literally hear, well, I read it online. Well, I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sir, that literally means nothing. That is open web. Like anybody can post an article.
Yep.
Anybody can make a comment. Anybody can create a YouTube
I'm
video.
a French hand model.
Right.
French hand model.
Right. Yeah. You can say it doesn't make it so. And so like we all, can hear some of those things and immediately go, doesn't smell right. But for kids coming up who have just been inundated with stuff like that since babies, how do they know? That's the world they've grown up in, is like, it's digital, so it must be true. Everybody's saying it online, must be true.
Well, and I agree with Rachel on the whole clip thing, because the cursive thing is just a symptom of a larger problem, right?
Yes,
like we're just talking of. It was a very
it was
that
an
clip
example.
made it sound like we were like, no, the teacher should teach us cursive. No, it's just that's one thing that we're taking out. That now, okay, well, you don't have a signature. Well, that's not a big deal. You can just do a squiggle. Well, sure, you can just have a squiggle, but that's not the point. What we're talking about is taking those things out.
They're taking out some simple cognitive related things that parents
hand-eye coordination.
We need to be aware of so that we are compensating at home. We're not saying that teachers should bear the brunt of everything, and we're upset that they're not doing it. It's just that, hey, there are some implications from this, and we all need to figure out where we got to pick up the pieces.
Except teach our kids cursive. I'm gonna stand on this one. Here's the deal, right? We're gonna go on this. There's nothing better than a handwritten note.
Yes.
If you can't write a handwritten note, and that signature at the end is something to be remembered by, right?
We used to practice our signature, like
as someone who's never had a good one.
But here's the deal. All the things that Lillie just mentioned about the kids waiting for their football players, they're waiting on a signature, right? They're waiting on, when you go for a movie star, you're waiting on a signature. Taylor Swift just brought her VHS tape to Toy Story 5 to get all the actors to sign it, right? You're doing it for signatures. Having a signature matters. Taking that time, taking that moment to get away from a computer, writing a handwritten thank you note after an interview, mail it to me. By gosh, that means more than the person who took the 2 seconds to have Copilot write them a stupid thank you email.
About this, I definitely agree with the thought, right? I'm just thinking in my mind when I started seeing some of the comments, like, who decided that cursive was the English way to sign? Like, a signature can be many things. Okay.
To save ink, to save paper.
There you go.
Also write faster.
So that just happened to be what it was. So I don't think we have to do cursive forever and ever. Amen.
I just think it's beautiful.
I do think you should be able to read it, to the point someone made. Like, okay, so we don't write it anymore. Cool. But like, kids can't even read it. And that's a big deal for historic documents. Like, those are still our history.
I'm not asking you to do calligraphy. Just bring some cursive back to the table. Have a signature. Take the time to do things the hard way. I'm going to die on this hill. You can send me hate mail. Cool. I'll mail you my address.
I just want to say I love everybody who commented. I don't
Absolutely.
I don't care what your opinion is. I love hearing it. I love a healthy discourse. So
that's what we're here for. We're not here to just agree with everybody. We all have our own opinions. They are our opinions, and we're not paid for them.
And we are standing on them.
Some of them are. I read the comments, so I was like, you know what? That's true. Like, I didn't really have much of an opinion when we were discussing it in the episode. But then when I read the comments, I was like, we don't have to.
Carrie's definitely the minority in this one, because I'm Team Rachel. I'm like, no, you should learn it, period. Moving on.
Yeah.
Well, some of us were born in different decades. That's
Get the screens out of the schools. The screens have got to go.
Screens got to go.
We all agree with that.
Like, I think, look, and also just the physical act of writing stuff is very important.
Exactly.
Like, I can take or leave the cursive aspect, but I need kids writing stuff by hand, because the way that it helps you remember stuff and spatially think through stuff is a very important cognitive skill.
that was actually the point. The point was that we started with handwriting was taking out. It wasn't necessarily that we started with cursive.
Back up. Handwriting completely is going?
No.
Oh.
They're handwriting, but less because of the technology.
A lot less.
Yes.
Like it's like first
They're not
grade.
practicing writing.
Not practicing.
You're learning how to write your letters, but you're not practicing it as much.
That's a
because
problem.
Like you're typing on a computer.
Get them writing short stories as soon as they can.
Exactly.
Right? They don't have to make sense. They can be spelled horrifically. That's fine. You've got to get kids writing as soon as humanly possible.
Amen.
I think it's kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, and then after that, it's computers.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Bad. Not good.
I agree.
The world we're headed in is dangerous. But speaking of the world we're headed in, Lillie, you have had the opportunity recently to speak about technology at some dreaming events. And for our audience that may not be aware, Salesforce's ecosystem hosts a series of community-led events, which are really about learning and connecting and trying to give each other inspiration. It's not necessarily, traditional Salesforce sales pitch. It's the people who do this day in and day out and how they really connect with each other. So you want to give us a little insight about what that's been like for you over the past couple of months?
I love the Dream-Ins. They're great. If you are in the Salesforce ecosystem, I highly, 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 highly encourage you to go to a Dream-In event near you or go travel to one. If you have an employer that'll pay for them, they're actually fairly cheap relative to some of the Salesforce events you can go to, but they're so wonderful. So a lot of the people who run the Dream-In events are OGs, kind of like Rachel. In fact, a lot of them know you and said hi at Check Dream-In when I was there. I know you weren't there, but a lot of these are folks who started community groups very, very early on, before there was Trailhead, before there were quite the resources that exist now. And the Dream-Ins themselves are just, you get sponsors, you'll get Salesforce itself that shows up too, you'll get corporations that come talk, but it's really more use case focused, which is nice. So, I sat through a really good talk on data cloud and identity resolution, which if you've ever had to deal with marketing cloud or marketing period is a very important, very useful thing. And the gal who gave the talk gave a wonderful breakdown of how it was done. Like, there are a lot more, here's how you actually go do something oriented. So you'll see people kind of from all over different disciplines come talk. Like there was one really good talk about security. In fact, I'm actually going to be on a podcast 2 weeks from now talking about Salesforce security and the exciting world there. Matt Myers, who I think you may know, Rachel, one of the CTAs, one of the OG CTAs, talked about the kind of the curious world of what happens when there's a Salesforce security breach? Like, what do you do, right? Saw some other really good talks on kind of marketing as a whole too. So Marketing Cloud Next and Marketing Cloud Advanced are these new products that Salesforce has come out with that their documentation could be a little bit better on. I'll go on the record and say that if Salesforce is listening, beef up your documentation for those. But having the user groups and having Dream-Ins are really nice because you have people who have set them up, who know kind of the pitfalls, who know some of the quirks about it, and they'll walk you through some of these things that they themselves have had to deal with. And they've been around for so long. And a lot of the people who run Dream-Ins go to different Dream-Ins too. So especially the European crew, they were kind of bouncing around. I think London Calling happened after Czech Dream-In, although I didn't go to that one. There's kind of like a nice little sequence that a lot of them traveled to. And they're the sweetest people. They really are. And one of the things I really love about Salesforce and the Salesforce community, the Ohana, as some people like to call it, is that it really is a fairly friendly group of people. Like, we're just a bunch of like affable nerds, really. Yeah. So if you have a question and you know somebody who specializes in, like, again, Marketing Cloud Next, which could use better documentation.
Amen. Now you know somebody you can call. All Salesforce. That's all the new products lately. They're just all need better fast and furious throwing it out there. The documentation still has to catch up, which is why these user groups and these panels and these communities are so important, because if you're not accessing those, you're forced, everything's behind a paywall with partners and vendors to help you. So shout out to the people that are just, open and willing to share their expertise, because it's a huge deal.
And they totally are. And I think the thing people don't understand about like the Dream-Ins and any of the user groups is that people are doing this for free, right? Like, they're not getting compensated for this. Yeah, maybe they get t-shirts sometimes. Maybe they'll get nominated for a golden hoodie, but like, you don't get money for this. And like, I don't know about you. I've set up a conference before. It's a ton of work. It's a crazy amount of work. It's very stressful. It's like setting up a wedding, right? Except, you've got 80 different people who are speaking or getting married, and you have to organize each of their little events as well. It's a lot of work. So my hats are off to them to for the work that they put in, for the way that they contribute, and just for their willingness to share. I think the thing that really kept Salesforce going and has made it sort of the wonderful community that it is people like that, right? They're the ones who keep knowledge going, who help these products grow. Their feedback also, like Salesforce listens to a lot of those people too, which is nice. A lot of those folks are in user groups as well. So them saying, hey, like this documentation needs to get a little better, has some weight to it, and ends up kind of trickling back up to the mothership to improve it for the rest of us. So yeah, just the vibes are immaculate. They're such a nice group of people. It's so much fun to go talk to them. And again, it's very hands-on, like, here's a situation you've probably experienced. Here's how you deal with it, right? So I always have a great time. I'm probably going to do Dreaming in Color, which is literally next door this year, where the FIFA boys are about to be. So I'll probably do that one. I may be doing North Africa Dreaming. I may do Southeast as well, but we'll see depending on how crazy my schedule gets. But anybody listening, if you're part of the Salesforce ecosystem, definitely go check out the Dream-Ins. I've met some lovely folks there. I've gotten some good business myself out of it. And it's just, I mean, like I said, the vibes are just so good. Like the people are really, really kind. And it's hard not to be inspired and enthusiastic at the end of attending one.
Yeah. Check them out on the Trailblazer community sites. It's where you can find a lot of people. It's the same, it's taking that digital experience and bringing it in person. And as much as we like to live behind screens, there's something to be said to get out into the real world and have those real world conversations. So definitely check them out. We'll put a couple links in our episode here so that you can catch a couple of the ones that Lillie mentioned, but there's a lot of them out there, a lot in many different areas. So definitely check them out. But with that, unfortunately, our time is coming to an end. So Caramy, take us home.
Oh, already. Well, our thanks to Lillie Beiting for being a guest on the show. It was so lovely having you. You have to come back soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We're glad you were here. If you liked what you heard, please consider subscribing to the show. Come check us out on socials at Coffee Meets Cloud or visit our website at coffeemeetscloud.com. We hope you will be here next Tuesday. And until then, keep your coffee strong. I'll see you ladies later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.